Korean pianists have been making their mark in the classical music scene in recent years, securing some of the biggest prizes in major competitions. One such figure is Park Jae-hong, who won the Busoni International Piano Competition in 2021. He is only the second Korean to win the prestigious prize, and the young musician has become one of the most sought-after pianists of his generation. To share his story with us today for TouchBaseinSeoul, I'm delighted to say that he has joined us in the studio now. Mr. Park, hello, and welcome to the show.
Hello. It's a huge honor for me to be here. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Park, it's great to have you with us today. Thank you for stopping by KBS. Can you tell us a bit about yourself for our listeners and your musical journey as well? How did you first start playing the piano?
Yes, so hello, my name is Jae-hong Park. Such a pleasure to be here. And yes, it will be a long story to talk about how I started playing piano. But yes, basically, I must confess that I am a very competitive guy still. And when I was young, I was much more competitive than now. And so back then I had my friend, I was 7 or 6 years old, I think. And we basically were like a ferocious foe. So when we do something, we must have to do it better than the other one. And every time I was winning on anything, on game or in books or anything. But then she comes to me and say, hey, I learned to play piano, and can you please play it for me? And then she showed me this music score, and of course I've never played piano before, so I was murmuring and I was not doing anything, and then she told me abruptly that you are an idiot, how can you not play this easy piece and so on, and I remember myself very clearly that I was crying a lot, and then I ran on to my mom and said Mom, I really need to go to the piano academy. So this will be the most comical thing that I could say, but yeah.
So it wasn't initially the love of piano or music, but it was about competition against your friend.
Well, I mean, now that I'm going to elaborate more, but basically my family loves classical music. They are an avid music fan. My father, for example, he always loved listening to Chopin's Nocturne or Bach Brandenburg Concerto or these beautiful music, while as my mom was actually an amateur pianist. She would not call herself as a pianist, but she knows how to play piano,
right.
And actually she was my first piano teacher. And ironically enough, she was the first one to tell me that you don't have any talent on piano, so why don't you just go and study? And that makes me more ferocious as well. So, but the basic impulse for me to endeavor on this path was basically her and my mom. But then, even though when I'm a competitive guy, if I don't find any interest, then I will stop going on that path, right?
Sure.
But I still really clearly remember that after my first lesson on my piano academy in Daegu, I came home and I practiced, I think, 2 or 3 hours when I was 6 and 7. That means that I really, really enjoyed and immensely loved doing it. Because when you are 6 or 7, no one can force you to do something for 3 hours.
Yes, exactly.
And then it continued. And then, now here I am. But I have to confess, I really, really love music.
Sure. I mean, as you said, the start might have been through competition with your friend, but you fell in love with the music. That's the only way that you can really continue like that. But I'm sure being that competitive has helped you over the years as you played piano competitively as well in recent years, right?
Yes and no, basically. I mean, yes, being competitive is a good thing as well, but somehow now I'm endeavoring on this path in this musical career, and it's a big paradox, because one should sought after this, how would I say, childlike simplicity or naive even, so that you don't go to pursue on doing something like a competition or like a concert or like being more famous pianist, but you must always have to continue to stay on the most modest, humble way to serve music. And at some point, being competitive could be a little bit of disturbance of doing so. But I must have to confess, yes and no, really. Being competitive made me practice 7 or 8 hours a day, clearly. But nowadays, I'm trying to slowly realize that sometimes you have to let it go of these competitiveness and try to just throughoutly enjoy and have this naive simplicity only to pursue on music itself.
Sure, but it still must have been very rewarding when you received these grand prizes, most notably in 2021, as I mentioned, the Busoni Competition. That's when I would say you really came into the public spotlight, right? What was that experience like, winning that and getting that sort of recognition?
Yes, I think it's an extended context. Of course, winning this competition was a fantastic thing ever happened to me, of course. But it's a very interesting thing because I have participated in several competitions, not several, but quite many. And as you know, not every time could be a success. Sometimes you eliminate on the first round or second round or something. But preparing on this competition was quite unique because I must have to say for 2 or 3 years, because of the COVID as well, there was no chance for me to go on participating in competition because of the COVID.
Of
and even so, when there was a competition, I must have to confess I didn't have a good result. But doing that, of course, I had a dark time. But after that, I realized competition is a very, very, how would I say, it really is about luck. Because if I play exactly the same way that I've played on that competition, if I played on a different hall, if I played on a different piano, if I met a different panel of jury members, everything would be changed. And so I thought about this way. It's not a competition, but it's like a festival. So I have a guaranteed one concert there because normally it's consisted of 4 rounds or something. So I was thinking myself, Jae-hong, you're not going on a competition. You just go there and play your music. You have a guaranteed one concert. If you're lucky, you will have one more. If you're lucky, you have one more with the ensemble. And then finally, if you're really, really lucky, then you're going to play concerto. So I must have to say this Busoni competition was a very special one because I felt so free playing on the stage because I didn't have any these kind of how to say, I need to prove myself to the jury members or something, but I really just wanted to plunge myself into this beautiful, beautiful music, and I didn't have any nerve-wracking moment. I was such at ease, and I was just enjoying thoroughly every moment that I was playing there, and so ironically, that gave me the biggest prize that I've ever had.
Well, it sounds like a very healthy way to look at things. As you said, it can be subjective judging music. It can depend on luck, as you said, but you can't win it without talent. So you must have that talent in you to be able to win it. So I think it's a recognition of that talent. So congratulations on that. The training that you received, it is quite interesting because I understand that you only primarily were based in Korea, even though you've been out performing all over the world and have, I'm sure, trained around the world as well. But you're primarily based in Korea, right? Which is not usual for classical musicians in Korea.
Yes, but what could I say? I've met a fantastic teacher until now. I was a very, very lucky man regarding on people as well. For example, I only had 2 piano teachers throughout my life. One was when I was 8 to 11 in Daegu. I studied with Lee Sung-won, professor in Keimyang University. She was a fantastic teacher, and she really care a lot of basic fundamental stuff so that you can build upon these pillars. And from 12 until now, I'm now studying with one and only Daejun Kim, a professor. He's a prominent pianist, a conductor, and a teacher, and it's just fantastic because the environment that I have been studied until now, it's quite special because now it's not about where you study, but who you study with. And on that perspective, I must have to say, I'm not the one who really can say I studied only in Korea, because my teacher is a prominent pianist and a worldwide famous teacher, and he also serves as a jury member in one of the most prominent competitions in all over the world. For instance, in Queen Elizabeth in Belgium, in Arthur Rubinstein in Israel, and so on. And so that I can say he is not a Korean teacher, but he has always had this globalization ears,
Right.
and so on, and he always reads the trend, and he really knows how to pursue a student into how to endeavor himself or herself into this musical career. So yeah, what could I say? I really had a fantastic teacher, and until now, I've studied with him for 12 years, but I still believe there's a bunch of things that I can study with him for a very, very long time. And the institution that I was studying in was also fascinating, because I graduated recently from Korean National University of Arts, and they have a fantastic facility called a Korean National Institute for Gifted in Arts.
Right.
So it's like a
Okay.
preschool, like
Right.
Juilliard preschool stuff. And basically what they do is that they aim from, 11 to 19 or 18 or stuff, and they teach them not only piano, but harmonic stuffs and ear training and solfege and all those basic nutritions that you really need, but sometimes it's really easy to not appreciate enough.
Right.
For example, when you are a pianist, you only try to practice piano, but it's really important to widen your perspective and to realize that we need a lot of ingredients to make this beautiful dish. So yeah, a beautiful environment that I was studying on, and a beautiful teacher.
So
That's
it
all.
sounds like you had a great teacher. But I
Yes.
guess it shows how far the Korean classical music scene has come, that we can nurture talent like yourself without having to go overseas or bring in overseas teachers, that there are great teachers like your teacher as well who can help this talent flourish. So let's look ahead now. What's next for you? What are your goals moving forward? You talked about how you want to perhaps appreciate the music more, learning to do that more, I'm guessing?
Yes. So I have to go back to the one that I told you that I'm a competitive man. Yes. I mean, after Busoni Competition, I was so grateful because they provided me over 60 concerts in 2 years. And that was just phenomenal. They'd always told me, because when I first received the schedule, I was quite in shock because they planned me 7 recitals in 1 week. Basically, that means you play daily, not in same city, but you always travel.
Wow.
So basically, it's like this. You wake up, and then you eat something, and then you go to the hall, you practice, you play a concert, and then you sleep, and then the next morning you travel into another city, and you do it for 7 or 8 days. So I asked them, why are you planning this kind of schedule for us? It was one of the most harsh, ferocious one that I've ever seen. And then she told me that it's because that we wanted you to taste a glimpse of how concert pianist lives. And from that, I learned so much thing. And now, for me, the most wanted goal now is not about want to be on a Carnegie Hall or want to perform with London Symphony Orchestra. Of course, it's my all goals, but basically now what I'm pursuing is, this, I would say, a vocation. This vocation is a fantastic vocation because you don't have a retirement. You can play until you die, and it's a blessed vocation because how many vocations are able to only look for yourself and contemplating yourself until you die? It's a very blessed one.
Sure.
And also it has a very long expectancy of doing it. And now I'm thinking it's like a marathon. When you are a very competitive one like me, then sometimes it tends to put all the energies that you have into a very short-term plan that you have a burnout and then you
Sure.
do nothing for a long time. But now I'm really thinking about drawing a long line it's not about like
Sure.
highlights, but to draw a long line.
Well, it's remarkable what you've achieved already, considering that you're only, 23, 24 now?
23.
23.
Yes.
But you already seem very mature, calm, and philosophical about your art as well. It's quite amazing to see. So I think fans will be very interested to see how your career progresses and what you do next. Finally, very briefly, I just have to ask, are you still friends with that friend you were competing with at 7 years old? And what does she think about your career now? How far you've come?
It's a real pity because after 9, I moved to another city and then we don't have any contact. But if you're listening, hello and thank you very much for having me growing on this path.
Well, on that note, we'll leave it there. We've been speaking to pianist Park Jae-hong. Thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.